Hello, welcome Internet to the first or possibly ongoing public meeting of the Backdrop community meeting. My name's Luke McCormick. Should I launch right into my introduction, Tim?
Sure, go right ahead.
All right, I'm a web project manager in San Ramon, California. Currently deeply involved in Backdrop marketing activities, which I'll touch on later. But for the moment, let me throw it to Robert.
I'm Robert Lang, bug folder on the internet. I'm based in Altadena, California. Probably more of a hobbyist website worker than anything, but lately I've been kind of doing a lot of the work in bringing CiviCRM up on backdropcms.org, and I'll be talking about that in a little bit. And I guess I'll pass it to Martin.
Hi, I'm Martin. I'm a web developer in Northeast England, United Kingdom. Yeah, I'm interested to hear about CiviCRM, so go to Joseph.
Hi, I'm Joseph. I'm a backend web developer from Las Vegas, Nevada, and I have no experience with CiviCRM. And yes, and I can't see my screen, so someone else take it.
So just down to me. I'm Tim Erickson, St. Paul Tim on the internet. I'm in Deerwood, Minnesota, and I have been interested in the capability of CiviCRM for a long time. I have one client that uses it fairly lightly, and I provide support for them, so I have a kind of a basic knowledge of it. I'm eager to get it working for backdrop.org, which is one of the other things we'll be talking about today. And oh, Andy, are you available to introduce yourself? Yep.
Andy Shillingford, Doc Wilmot on the internet, and I also have no idea anything about CiviCRM, but just here listening, trying to learn something.
Great. So I think all of us are, that's all of us. So as Luke said at the beginning, this is our first community meeting. We used to have an outreach meeting at this time, which is now sort of morphed into the marketing committee that Luke is chairing and leading, and he will be giving us a quick update on that. Our idea was to replace that meeting with this community weekly or bi-weekly community meeting, which is going to be a little bit more of a discussion and a session, thinking about it a little bit like something cross between a podcast and a Backdrop live session, where we're going to just talk about an issue that people are interested in the community, maybe share examples, maybe do a little more screen sharing than we normally do. If you're watching this on YouTube, please feel free any week to join us live in our Zoom room. You know, I think we'll need to do a better job of getting the information about that out there. Maybe watch for that on our events page on backdrop.org. Because this is our first session, we're still getting into the loop here. Part of the community meeting will be just news and updates from the community, so we may include things in the future like recent contrib update or contrib module releases and any important events happening in core at the beginning of this. We don't have any of those announcements prepared, so I think we'll pass on those. If you have topics that you'd like to talk about in a community meeting, let us know. We're envisioning things like case studies. So if you have a website you'd like to show off during a community meeting, let us know. We could talk about certain contrib modules or new features in core. I suspect that after each release, we will do a community meeting where we'll kind of walk through the new features. One of the things we've always wanted to do was have a recording of a sort of a tour of all the new features in core after each release, and the community meeting might be a great chance for us to just sort of do that live and record it. So those are some of the things that are coming. If you have feedback, let us know. Again, our topic today is CiviCRM. We're going to ask, before we get into the topic, the one piece of news was Luke will be giving us regular updates whenever he's able to about the marketing initiative. So Luke, go ahead.
Let me get to that. So I put on my notes that at future community meetings, I will have some sort of prepared updates on the marketing committee. But for today, I'm just going to wing it, which may or may not foreshadow what comes up. Basically, the high level overview is that in order to accomplish marketing things, we're moving into more asynchronous channels, so that rather than repeatedly discussing things we could do, we're actually doing them. I'd like to direct everybody's attention to two channels for this asynchronous information. One is there's a marketing channel within Zulip where things are discussed. And there's also a folder on the shared Backdrop Google Drive. Now, I'm not sure how widespread access that either of these are both. That's the kind of things that we'll have to sort of work out as time goes on. But at the moment, we've lived up to sort of the thought of having, less planned synchronous discussions. So we had one yesterday, as it turns out, in the office hours. That caused me to actually to write up some of the things that have been kicking around. So I have a proposal in said drive referenced in the Zulip channel. And next Tuesday, we'll actually have a synchronous meeting to update and sort of keep these things moving along. That's enough time for this poorly prepared update. Next time, I'll have something like scripted, ready to go. I want to tack on something relevant to this meeting. Is that I used CiviCRM fairly heavily for a short period of time, a bunch of years back, as part of a job that I had with the Drupal Association, where I used it to enter all the information and leverage it for the sponsorships for DrupalCon, Copenhagen specifically. So I've got dated but sort of deep familiarity with one very specific use case. I don't know how much that covers other things too. So I've got a little knowledge that's probably dangerous, but I'll stop now.
Well, great. That's probably a great segue to just go into our main topic for the day, which is CiviCRM. And again, Robert's going to give us a high-level overview of what CiviCRM is and sort of where it came from and where it's going. Maybe I don't want to overstate what Robert's prepared to do, but we're going to talk a little bit today about how we're planning to actually implement CiviCRM for Backdrop CMS as an organization. So Robert, do you want to go ahead and get started? And if people think about questions, we want this to be interactive, so we will be having a discussion about this later. So if you have questions, get them ready.
Okay. So let me start with just a little description of what CiviCRM is. It's a constituent relationship management tool. That's the CRM part of it. It's open source. It runs on multiple CMSs, WordPress, Drupal, Backdrop, Drupal 7 and 8+ Backdrop. And in fact, I think there's also even a standalone version of CiviCRM that's not tied to any CMS. And it is a huge code base. When I just updated it, the code base update was 123 megabytes. So it's a Backdrop module that is much, much larger than all of the rest of Backdrop put together. So it's both complex, but also really powerful. Just to kind of run through the areas that it covers, first and foremost, it supports a database of contacts, individuals, also, if you like, organizations, and you can associate as much data with them as you want. You know, name, address, email, phone, multiple addresses for home and work. You can create custom fields, so you can really associate as much data as you want with people and organizations, households, if you like. It supports tracking contributions. So you can set up, so you can take contributions from people. They can donate to your organization. There's modules to support different forms of payment. Authorize.net is a payment processor that organization I work with uses. PayPal, there's others. You can set up events. Events are sort of a predefined thing where you define an event that has a time and a place and a description, and then people register for the event, and you can charge them money if you want, or they can register for free. And then in that way you can keep track of people and events, and then if you need to send emails to everyone who's attending a particular event, you can do that as well. You can also have memberships. So you can define different types of memberships that people can register for. Again, either for free or for money. And then, have those memberships automatically expire, send out renewal notices automatically, and all sorts of things like that. The glue that ties a lot of these different activities together is mailing. And so one of the components of CiviCRM is called CiviMail, and it's about setting up bulk mailing jobs. So you can send emails to individuals, you can send emails to groups. So you can define groups and have people join different groups, and then send emails just to members of that group. There's also the ability for people to opt in and out of groups, so they can join groups if they're interested and get out if they're not. CiviCRM supports A/B testing if you want to do two different mailings with slight differences and measure the results of which ones get better responses. You can do that. There's a whole slew of reports that you can slice and dice your data in different ways. And there's various additional plugins or components that I haven't mentioned for setting up case management, specific tracking of engagement, and more that I know there's more, and I can't remember them at the moment, so I skipped them. But I think I've covered the ones that are potentially most likely to be relevant to what we're doing with Backdrop. So, and let me get into that now. We have installed CiviCRM on the backdropcms.org website. We're starting small, so to speak, by just collecting addresses and groups that people would be interested in for mailing lists. The idea is we get our feet wet in a small way, and then we can, over time, expand into more and more areas, create more groups if you like. We can create administrative groups for managing people that people don't opt in or out, but that we just use to keep track of. So right now, the places that are visible to visitors on backdropcms.org are just the account signing and account editing. And so I'm going to share screens showing those two front-end features. That's visible now on backdropcms.org. But then I'll also share a screen to show the back end, just to give a little hint of what's possible when we decide we want to do more. So first, here we go. All right, so you should be seeing the new account creation screen on backdropcms.org. It's pretty similar to what it was a few days ago. We collect the username and the email address, but now we collect some additional information. This name and address section, this is added by CiviCRM. We collect the person's full name, which we used to collect that in their user account. Now we collect it as a CiviCRM field. Street, city, postal code, country, state. These other things are optional. Full name is required as it was before. And then this next section, subscriptions, this is also a CiviCRM section. And what we've defined are groups that people can sign up for, getting event updates, the newsletter, which we used to sign up in a different way, security updates, which we used to collect but sign up in a different way, and then volunteer interest. And this data will go into CiviCRM. Also importantly, there is a CiviCRM setting. It's part of the US Can-Spam Act that basically says you must provide a way for people to opt out of emails, and bulk emails. And so we all give them that option as well. And that's what this checkbox is. If people check this, they'll get no bulk emails, even if we try to send a mass mailing to a group that contains them. And then the last thing we collect is this field that this is not a CiviCRM field. This is one we've had for several months that we just use to help weed out spam submissions, because spammers put gibberish in it and real people put real words into it. So that's the create new account. And stop. And now I'm going to go to the real account. And this is going to be my account. So you will unfortunately probably learn more than you ever wanted to about me, but it's a good example. So the user account page looks pretty much the same as it did, but it shows the result of that name and address collection, and it shows the result of the subscriptions. And there are links in there that will allow people to edit those sections directly. But also, if we go to the Edit tab for the user account, it now has 3 sub-account tabs. And the one titled Account Information, this is actually everything you used to see when you clicked the Edit tab. So it's the backdrop default Edit tab. So you've got your username and settings and all the stuff we used to see. And then the name and address sub-tab, that lets you edit your name and address. This is actually a page that's provided by CiviCRM. We've defined this profile in CiviCRM, and it's created a page for it. And then the subscriptions tab, which has, again, the groups that people have signed up for. Event updates, newsletter, security updates, volunteer, and no bulk emails, which I've left unchecked because, of course, I want to get bulk emails. And that ends what's currently visible in the front end to users. Just when you sign up, when you register, and the ability to edit your own information. But the information in those second 2 tabs is now being stored in CiviCRM. So let me show you now kind of the back end of CiviCRM. And this is what's only visible to admins. So here we go. This is the back end. And CiviCRM adds a subsidiary administrative menu. That's just for CiviCRM. In the regular admin menu, Civi adds its own link at the far right, but that's not a menu. That's that says, take me into CiviCRM backend. And it pops up this secondary menu, which is all pure CiviCRM stuff. So first, there's a big search capability. You can find contacts via a simple search or an advanced search. I'm just going to show you the pages, but I'm not going to do a search because this is a real site with real people's info in it. But the simple search lets you just put in name or email. And so it's like a good, quick way to find a result. The advanced search lets you search on a huge number of different criteria. Complete or partial name, complete or partial email, include or exclude by privacy options. So you could find all the people who said, I don't want any bulk emails if you wanted to. Locate phones, location types, address fields. We collect street address and city, and so we could search or find all the people in the U.S. or not in the U.S. Then if you are looking for people who have signed up for an event, you could search based on the name of an event, and then you collect all the contacts who are attending that event, and so forth and so on. Next, in contacts, you can create 3 types of contacts. The only ones we're using now in Backdrop are individuals. Or we could, if we wanted, do households or organizations. You can, of course, import contacts, which is one of the things we did to get data from the existing Backdrop site into CiviCRM. And then manage groups. And that's important enough that, and I can show that. So these are our existing groups that we've set up. CiviCRM automatically created an administrators group, but we've created CiviCRM team, which are the people working on Civi. This was the contrib group, people interested in contributing. This was a suggestion from Tim. Note that these have visibility, user and user admin only. So these are only visible in the back end. Ordinary people will not see that they are a part of these groups. But the ones that are published, exposed publicly, are event updates, newsletter. You see we have 2,900 contacts in the newsletter group because we imported all the data from our newsletter database into CiviCRM. We have 2015 contacts in the security updates group because we imported all the people who had marked that in their backdropcms.org user account. That's now, information is now in their contact. Volunteer interest, this is a new one for people to check and sign up if they're interested in. And then test group is one I created that contains just me for testing out CiviMail. And I mention that here because you can create groups, you can discard them when you're done with them. So I'll throw this away when we're done. And when we start sending out bulk emails, we will use these groups. And if we want to create targeted emails, you can actually send emails that say include everyone in groups A, B, and C, but exclude everyone in group D, E, and F. So you can do quite a bit with sort of Boolean combinations of groups when you're sending out emails. Okay, contributions.
Robert,
Yeah.
Is it okay if we interrupt you and ask questions?
Yeah, and I think, in fact, this would be probably a good place because this is
Right.
We're now going to go through some things that we're not using immediately.
Okay. On the contacts thing, when you say expose publicly, that you said that exposes it to the person who's involved, right? Or does that
Right.
also show up on their profile, their public profile?
I don't think it shows on their profile, but let me check.
So basically, it just, if you're looking at your user profile, as a user, if you're looking at your own profile, you would see it.
Yeah, so it doesn't show up to others. So let me switch screen share to a different screen. So now we're looking at what my profile looks like to the anonymous user. And you can see all that stuff. My address, my name, address, information, my groups are not visible. So other people can't see that. But what that meant was that to expose that that on the person's own profile, they can see those groups and join or remove as they wish. Oops. Sorry, wrong one.
Don't say whoops, you're gonna make Jen nervous.
No, I was. Yeah, the whoops was just I went to the issue queue, not the CiviCRM page. Anyhow, so yeah, so here we're back in the back. Let's see other things. We can set up contribution pages where people can make donations, or they can join membership, and if we want to have memberships where they charge money for and so forth. None of that's set up now. In order to make use of this, we would need to configure a payment processor. The website I manage, we use authorize.net and PayPal as payment processors. And so then when someone makes a donation or registers for an event or signs up for a membership, they have the choice of credit cards or PayPal for their payment. Events, you can create an event. You can also create price sets, which are collections of fees of prices for multiple items. So, you know, you could have basic registration and then an optional dinner and, you know, optional special deal or whatever options you want to throw in there. Again, when we get to the stage of collecting. Mailings, that we can do. So this is the thing that was not working until this morning. You set up a mailing. There are templates that you can create for things like the newsletter or whatever. These are the samples that CiviCRM puts, but we can create our own templates for the different types of mailings we want. You can put in groups. So, for example, I could send something if I wanted to everyone in the newsletter. I could also exclude groups. So you could, for example, send something to everyone who signed up for the newsletter, but exclude everyone who signed up for security updates. Then you fill in the subject and then type in your email using a CK editor type editor. You can preview your email both as HTML and as plain text. You can send test versions to yourself to verify that everything came through. There's all sorts of tokens you can put into the email. So for example, you can say, well, like if I go dear contact.display name, then when I preview as HTML, it's going to say Dear Robert J. Lang. And we'll use the display name for the person. Lots of other tokens. Interestingly, as soon as you start creating something, CiviCRM has created a draft version of that email. So to get rid of it, you don't just click away, you actually have to delete it.
Hello there.
What? Sorry, what?
Sorry, there was some background noise in my.
Oh, okay. So I'm going to delete that because I don't want to clutter up our site with empty drafts. Well, I'll continue. And well, I've already got a couple of empty drafts in there, but I will get rid of them. Okay, memberships, the same thing. We don't have memberships, but we can create memberships. And you can create memberships that have different levels, you know, so basic, premium, big high donor, all sorts of things like that. There's lots of reports that are built into Civi. There's a million different settings. These are all basically settings. There's a million different types of settings for communications, localizations and system, and then specific to the different modules we have configured. One of the things that we set up is GDPR extension so that we would be GDPR compliant. We need to fill this in. So this is all blank. This is still to be filled in. It's one of the things I mentioned in the to be done posting in the last couple of days. But basically that's it. There's always a quick little search. So I'm going to go, there we go. Oops. So I'll find my contact. So this is what a contact page looks like. There's a summary. You can list all your, you'll see all the contributions, memberships, events you've registered for, activities, groups that you're part of, the change log. And one of the nice things in the contact is that there is a link to the backdrop user account. So I happen to be user ID 4851 on backdropcms.org. And if we go to that, we're back to the user account. So that's the quick little whirlwind tour of Civi. Any questions or thoughts?
Well, why don't we say a little bit more about how we're hoping to use it as an organization beyond what Robert covered already, which I think, well, I don't know, Robert, I'm trying to think, did you, can you say a few things about what Backdrop, how we plan to use it?
Well, I think the two near-term things are, the two most immediate things are using CiviMail to send out security updates and newsletters. And we do have Civi configured to send its mails through SendGrid, our email provider, so that we can do that now. But we still need to configure headers, footers, and a nice template for those types of mailings. But the way things are set up now, when people go to their user account or create a new account on b.org, the checkboxes that they see for security updates and newsletter relate to the CiviCRM records. So Civi is now the source of truth for whether someone should get either of those mailings. And so,
wait, whether they actually get the emails or not is still tied to the custom stuff, not the Civi stuff. So we're only sending emails to people who signed up before today. Is that right? For security updates.
if someone signed up today, I created a new account today and they checked that box. That's immediately, they're immediately added to that group in CiviCRM.
But they're not getting the current email. So like if they sign up today, but we send a security update tomorrow, they wouldn't get that? Or are they in both places?
No,
Like they're both in Civi and they get the email that's sent now?
it's,
If
That
we send it
information-
through the old system, then they would.
that information.
Right,
is
it's
only in
automatically
Civi.
sent through the old system, yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I don't know what the old, so I don't know what the old system was, but that information now only resides in Civi.
okay, so if we,
Oh,
so
if
if
we-
a security announcement comes out, nobody gets a notification right now.
Yes.
Okay, we
unless
gotta fix that.
somehow-
I'll go have a look at it.
Unless
I
we
don't know where we're in
integrate
the code.
we should integrate whatever the old system is to pull its data out of Civi, because that's
Yeah.
the only place that has that data now.
Okay,
And same for
that's
the news.
urgent. We need to get that done by next Wednesday.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, we have a security coming?
Well, it's a security release window.
Okay.
Well, so are we going to start? I think Robert was saying everybody would get it because he was assuming we would start sending those with CiviCRM. Is that not the case?
Yeah, if we
Well,
send
they're
it,
sent automatically from the website every time a security announcement is made. There's no human interaction involved in sending that
I see.
email.
So they are being,
Okay.
okay.
yeah, so then we will need to,
So we're not using CiviCRM right now to send those. But we are sending them from the website. So
Well, not if there's no data in the field that we're checking to see who gets an email, which sounds like there's not. If
There's
it's all,
not.
if the data is only in Civi, then we'll say, who's checked this box? Okay, send all the emails to no one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So right now we've essentially disabled our ability to send security notifications to anyone.
well, we
So-
could manually send them though. I understand we need to sort that process out.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're still working out the bugs. Robert, why don't you make clear how fresh all of this is? Like we're just implementing this, right?
well, we've been kind of working on it for quite a few months. We sort of built everything on beta and put it out there for folks to kick the tires and try things out. But it's only in the last week that I started to bring it up on backdropcms.org, basically reproducing what we had set up on beta and hopefully what everyone tried out on beta. But there was one very puzzling glitch that even though we basically configured b.org exactly the same way as we had it configured on beta, two important parts of CiviCRM were failing. Fortunately, this morning I found out what the culprit was, which was that an extension that was automatically enabled in the latest version of CiviCRM, but not in the version we originally installed on beta, was causing problems. Disabling that extension made the problems go away, and now beta and b.org really they're running the same version of Civi. They have essentially the same settings, and as far as we can tell so far, everything should be working.
Okay.
With the caveat, except security update issue that Jim just mentioned, and if there's probably a similar issue with regard to the newsletter, because that information is also now only in Civi.
Okay. I'm just going to quickly share, if anybody's interested, we have an issue queue for backdropcms.org, and a lot of the technical discussions around implementing backdrop or CiviCRM are listed in the backdropcms.org issue queue. So if you're interested in contributing or seeing any of the history of it, that's where you could look.
Yeah,
Go
Tim
ahead.
might mention there's actually a project in GitHub for CiviCRM. That project lists all of the
Am I not logged? How do I get to the project?
yeah, let me
Oh, here, maybe here. There it is. CiviCRM and backdrop.org. So what I did was I clicked on projects, and then I had to click on. Now, where is it? I thought it said two. Maybe here. Yeah. Okay, I had to click on Projects Classic. There it is. And then there's the CiviCRM. So this basically lists all of the tickets that have been done and ones that we're working on.
Yeah. And so you see there's still several in progress. And
yeah. So this, I was just going to say a bit more about the history of this project. I mean, there's been talk about using CiviCRM for internal stuff for years, but I think it's now been over a year ago that we started like a working group to focus on it, and we've been talking about it. And Robert has like put a lot of work into the actual implementation, along with some other people, and we just like went live. Well, this week, didn't we? In the last week,
yeah,
is when
just in
it's
the last
actually
few days.
the last few days. So this is all very fresh, but something that's been in the works for a long time. So you mentioned primarily mailers that we plan to do with it. Personally, I'm really interested in, and I think that is one of our main focuses right now. We don't have immediate plans to use it for managing contributions or events, because we have other tools for those now, although we may integrate them in the future. But I also want to use it sort of more for volunteer management. So when people volunteer for particular groups or tasks, somebody says, hey, they want to help with graphic design, that's a skill they have. And if we need help, we don't currently have a good way to track people that have like expressed that kind of specific interest. And CiviCRM will give us that ability. We can go in and sort of tag them. And then if we have a need for some graphic art or graphic design, we can go and see all the people who volunteered in the past. And I think that's going to be a huge help for our community.
Yeah. So this might sound like somebody that just got a hammer and now everything looks like a nail. But I got to say the draft proposal I put together for the marketing thing looks like a CiviCRM project. Like the things you're describing, like, oh yeah, those are in fact, all the things that I need to do what I had in mind. So I'm happy to test case it if you want to try something that doesn't have a history of, behind it to weigh it down in any sense.
So, Luke, I think I'm speculating a bit on exactly what you have in mind, although you and I have talked about this a lot. But one example would be that if we wanted to, that might be what Luke has in mind. If we wanted to start to try and communicate directly with vendors, backdrop vendors, or agencies that have expressed an interest in backdrop, CiviCRM would sort of give us an ability to do that in a way that I'm not sure we've had in the past. We might have been able to hack something together, but we didn't have a really good way to do that. So
yeah, no, I built a proposal based on the idea of just sending email to lists of people, but this sounds like a much better way to do it. I'm not necessarily related to this, Robert, but I'm curious, is there archiving of the things that are sent, either built in or possible?
Yeah, so when you send a mailing, there's an archive of every mail that you've ever sent, and report information. How many bounced? You can also, if you want, track clicks and opens, but I've turned that off for now, just sort of on general principles of don't track unless you really, don't track unless you've made a conscious decision to do that.
Yeah.
And so, but you can track how many bounced, got through, and who was in that recipient list. So, for example, let's say if we sent we have the volunteer interest group. And we sent a mailing 1 month and to all 10 people on that list. And then the next month, we send a mailing to the volunteer interest group and it's got all 20, and it's 20 people. But you could still go back to that first mailing and see who the 10 people were that you sent it to.
And you can see the text of the mail.
Yeah. What you don't see the text of the individual mails that people receive, because that could potentially be huge. What you see is the text of the mail template
Of the
that you
template.
sent out. But yeah, that's all saved.
So administrators see that. Do recipients have access to any list of things they've been sent?
No. Yeah, and in fact, definitely not by default, and I don't know of a way even to do that if you wanted.
So we're almost out of time, and I'd like to finish this with a quick sort of like, if somebody was interested in CiviCRM, what would they do? And because this is CiviCRM, I think, Robert, you described it accurately as a module that's actually bigger than Backdrop CMS. But first of all, I just went quickly to the CiviCRM project page and was reminded that you don't actually download, unlike any other module, you don't actually download it through backdrop.org. I think you have to go to CiviCRM, is that right, to download the?
Yeah, you download it from civicrm.org. You download the version of it that is customized for your CMS. There's a version for Backdrop.
Right.
And then for people who want to use it, so you download it, then you drop it into your modules folder, you enable it, but then you have to run CiviCRM's own installer program that will build the CiviCRM database and tables. And there you have a choice of building the tables within your Backdrop database, or what we've done is putting all of CiviCRM stuff in its own separate database.
So in summary, the process for installing this is more complicated than a regular module. There are some good, I think, blog posts out there that walk through the process of installing CiviCRM. We'll try to put links to those in the Google Doc, and then we'll link to the Google Doc in the YouTube.
And Civi has pretty extensive online documentation, including a page devoted to the installation process.
If you have questions about CiviCRM or bugs you want to report, where do you do those?
They have their own issue queue in CiviCRM. It's on GitLab, I think.
Okay. Anything else? Does anybody here have any last minute questions before we have to wrap this up for the next meeting? Okay, well, excellent work, Robert. We're there. I was going to say we're almost there. We're not almost there. We're there. We can start using it, sort of. A little bit of more testing and kicking the tires maybe now.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. Well, thanks everybody. I was hoping to talk a little bit about a topic for our next community meeting in 2 weeks, but I don't think we have time for that. We can do that between meetings. If anybody watching the YouTube video has topic ideas, please get them to us on Twitter and Zulip. We need a better place to communicate with us. We have a contact form on backdrop.org, cms.org, don't we? I think we must.
Yes.
For that. Okay. Okay.